Houston, we have a problem.
I'm finally frickin' back with How to Fix Naruto Part 3. It's been 4 years, so maybe a little too late, but I've been hard at work with other projects such as How to Fix Kingdom Hearts, plus life got a little hectic there. But the time has come. I've had enough ideas over the years to make a Part 3. A lot of these ideas were inspired by the many comments I've gotten over the years, so thank you. You made this possible. And make sure you go watch the first 2 videos I made fixing Naruto, because these ideas will mostly be building off of the changes I've already made. This is your spoiler warning for the entire Naruto series. Oh, and subscribe because I occasionally throw ass. Oh shit. And no, I will not be fixing Boruto. Technology in the Naruto universe has always confused me and kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because it just doesn't need to be there. The world is full of magical shinobi in a very feudal-like world, and for the most part it sticks to this setting until Kishimoto needed a convenient plot device in the form of some randomly advanced technology like the strange medical stuff. Sometimes there's TVs and Payne's missiles. Don't even get me started on the fillers. I'm someone who believes in strong and consistent world building, and technology has always been wildly out of place in Naruto, so I just get rid of basically all of it. Surprise, surprise, almost nothing changes about the series. Medical stuff can be handled solely by medical ninjutsu and perhaps other experimental alchemy shit because of characters like Orochimaru, and every other random tech insertion could just not. If you thought technology made no sense, the ownership structure and politics of the Naruto world also make no fucking sense. The countries in the Naruto series, such as the Land of Fire or the Land of Wind, are controlled by feudal lords who, to our knowledge, aren't even shinobi or have any real powers, yet somehow they maintain material power over literal demigods? You don't have characters like Madara Uchiha running around being governed by powerless feudal lords. I get the idea, it's inspired by feudal Japan in many ways, but I think the logic breaks down when shinobi are literal fucking demigods. This power structure is rarely ever mentioned or explained in the series. It just kind of exists, and I think in the context of the Naruto world, it does not work. I think what does make the most sense is if it remains what we already think of it anyways. Villages consisting of alliances between clans acting sort of like nation states, the smaller territories in between, and the conflict among nations that ensues. Again, not much has to change about the story because these details never played that important of a role anyways, but it straightens out some of the world building. The filler in Naruto is very hit or miss, but the real benefit of these extra episodes isn't the fact that they delay catching up to the manga, it's that they give certain characters much needed screen time. Sure, plenty of these fillers weren't that great or interesting, but some actually are. I like the idea of Naruto tagging along in missions with different teams before the time skip, because a lot of these characters were underutilized in canon anyways. I also think we could have actually shown some of the training Naruto went through with Jiraiya for 2 years. There's interesting moments that warrant exploring, such as how Kyuubi Naruto almost killed Jiraiya, or perhaps showing Naruto's journey learning to use a small amount of Kurama's chakra at will, something I mentioned in part 1. Because of the lack of Edo Tensei, there's tons of room to show different shinobi throughout time as well, such as Minato, Hashirama, Kakashi, Itachi, etc. Another underutilized aspect of the Naruto world is other villages. We don't get a whole lot of look inside all these different places. That's why when I made part 1, I said all the Jinchuriki should have episodes covering their stories and their eventual capture. The filler arc with Utakata, the Six Tails, was really interesting, but we definitely needed more of that. And to be honest, some of the filler in the anime already does a lot of the things I'm talking about. It just needs to be canon and worked a bit better into the progression of the story. It's not all bad. But this one definitely is. Speaking of the point I made about Naruto having access to Kurama's chakra, I have a better idea for how exactly Naruto learns to call upon its power at will. During their training, Jiraiya does something similar to what Naruto ends up doing later in Shippuden. He temporarily unseals and fights the Nine Tails and quickly extracts some of Kurama's chakra via Jiraiya's Sage Mode to then give to Naruto. And that's why he almost dies and why he's only able to give Naruto chakra up to 3 tails. Kurama proved too powerful and almost killed him in the process. I say it's reparations for abandoning Naruto as a child, but that's just me. Also, there's a big problem with the setup of Naruto's early life in that allegedly Hiruzen was supposed to watch over Naruto after Minato died, but this is notoriously one of the biggest bold-faced lies in the series, as this is never actually seen in the original series. Of course, much later there was some filler episodes showing Hiruzen occasionally spending time with him, but that idea definitely needed to be introduced earlier on. I can't decide whether or not that cheapens the idea that Naruto was completely alone, but either way, it's the only thing that makes sense given that Naruto clearly isn't home homeless. It would just have to be utilized very carefully. Keeping with a previous point I made about giving the Hyuga clan a greater sense of prominence, there really should have been some type of evolution to the Byakugan, similar to the Mangekyo Sharingan. Personally, I would just recycle the idea of the Tenseigan from last Naruto movie, but obviously nerf it from being like a godlike power to something more reasonable. I still like the idea of it giving the user the Tenseigan chakra mode, and would probably have stuff like greatly increasing your speed, giving you greater manipulation over people's chakra points. I can't think of many more creative ideas for it, but you get the idea. It should make someone a way better close combat shinobi. Ultimately, it should be a power that the strongest Hyuga clan members possess, and I would really want Neji to have unlocked it by the time he fights Sasuke in Team Hebi, which was something I added in part 2, to really give Sasuke a run for his money against the Hyuga clan's best. It would also be awesome if Hinata unlocks the Tenseigan by the time she protects Naruto from pain, giving her a much needed boost in that fight and lead to an even more badass moment for Hinata. When I mentioned Naruto and Hinata having better development, I think one of the best situations for this would be the Itachi Pursuit mission, where they're briefly paired together. This is a great opportunity to showcase Hinata's gradual growth and confidence, connect on their struggles and Naruto's desire to save Sasuke, as well as Naruto being more nervous around her because he's developed a bit of a crush. During the Tenchi Bridge mission, after the time skip where we see Sasuke for the first time, I think there's an opportunity to give Sai and Sasuke a better moment to spar. As Sai sneaks up on Sasuke while he's resting, instead of causing an explosion immediately after being binded, Sasuke should instead melt into snake clones. As Sai is caught off guard and backs away, the candles in the hallway immediately blow out, making it pitch black. As Sai scrambles to summon a light of some sort, he's snuck up on in the dark and ends up rapidly clashing swords with Sasuke several times in the dark hallway, with us catching short glimpses of Sasuke's silhouette among the sparks, only for the last thing we see in the dark is Sasuke's Sharingan, and that's when Sai causes the explosion through one of his summons and things commence as normal. I don't know, just a cool moment I had in mind. A quick idea I had when I briefly mentioned in part 1 the idea of Sakura facing Konan in the Pain arc. My idea is that during the assault, Sakura would be assisting in defending the hospital, taking care of a lot of the injured villagers, and Konan arrives to disrupt the medics and attack the patients. Sakura initially faces her by herself, but it would be really cool if she got help from Shino and other Aburame clan members. Shino versus Konan was a fight they briefly teased in the anime, but it was way too short and had no conclusion, so I think integrating that into a larger battle sequence would be sick nasty, dude. And then Sakura could more heavily utilize some of the Genjutsu abilities I said she should have in part 1, as well as use her quick thinking and wit to deconstruct and outsmart Konan and her abilities. This would all make for a dope fucking fight and give Shino some much needed screen time. Speaking of Sakura's Genjutsu abilities, I think an interesting idea is to make a Genjutsu out of inner Sakura, the inner personality she used to counter Ino in the Chunin exams, perhaps as something that can haunt people she catches in the Genjutsu, as well as something that can protect her from other Genjutsu. She should advance to the point where she can dispel even Sasuke's most powerful Genjutsu. Because of her obsession with Sasuke and working with Kakashi and his understanding of the Sharingan, she simply trains inner Sakura to the point where she's immune. It's kind of a stretch in logic because of how powerful the Mangekyo and Rinnegan are, but I like the character aspect of it. Sakura becomes someone who learns to see right through Sasuke, and the amalgamation of that is expressed by the fact that even his most powerful Genjutsu can't fool her. I imagine the scene where Sakura confronts Sasuke after killing Danzo and her punching him
as hard as possible
would go a little something like this. Sasuke approaches a helpless Karin ready to kill her with his Chidori. As he looks down towards her, his blindness from the Mangekyo appears, disorienting the hell out of him. As he kind of darts around unable to see, he sees a blurry pink silhouette rapidly approaching. Right as his vision focuses back to normal, he can only see Sakura's fist launching directly into his face as he goes flying backwards, clutching his face with his hands in pure agony, completely caught off guard. Sakura is able to approach a disoriented Sasuke while he's down, grab him by his collar, and starts screaming at him about how he was about to kill that poor girl and how he's become an absolute monster. Sasuke then snaps out of it and tries to swat at her with Chidori. She's able to dodge it and keep her distance, and as Sasuke goes after her in a complete bloodthirsty rage, she briefly spars with Sasuke, fending him off and realizing he's truly too far gone with the intention to kill someone he once considered a friend. Then Kakashi eventually interrupts and yeah. Somewhere in the timeline, probably during the 4th War arc, Tenten should get a hold of one of the 7 swords of the mist, preferably Zabuza's Kubikiri Bocho after Soigetsu lost it. That would be a great moment for Tenten as the touted weapons expert, and would also be a great callback to Zabuza's character in the early episodes. And now, time to address the elephant in the room. Hashirama cells. This was a detail I actually got wrong way back when, which is that Hashirama cells enhanced Obito's chakra abilities, thus is the reason he's able to spam Kamui in the 4th War. I'll be be honest, I kinda fucking hated how Kishimoto overused and abused Hashirama cells anytime he needed a convenient excuse for someone having more power than should be possible. I can appreciate that he at least tries to explain the continual power growth, but it's just a huge asshole. And I already kind of have problems with the power ceiling in Naruto, so ultimately I think a lot of these final Naruto fights need to be more intelligently choreographed and not just people constantly getting higher power levels. But that's kind of a broad, hand-wavy type of change that doesn't feel fair, but I definitely think the concept of Hashirama cells should be removed entirely or at least utilized way more sparingly. It just feels like a plot hole filler, and that's definitely not Allah approved. In addition to this, after the final Naruto vs Sasuke fight, Naruto shouldn't get a new arm. That's cheating, man. You and Sasuke are both amputees for life. Congratulations. Maybe make a chakra arm or something, I don't care. Here's a big change I'd make to Naruto as a character that might ruffle some feathers, but it's a common sentiment among the fandom that Naruto being related to the Senju through Mito, the wife of Hashirama, thus making him a part of some grand lineage that was destined to be all-powerful, when people preferred the fact that Naruto didn't seem necessarily all that special in the early series. He was just incredibly strong-willed. I agree, it's nice to relate to a character who isn't a genetic godsend, but rather someone who just works hard and has drive. So I want to make a simple yet big change. Being a reincarnation of Indra and Asura shouldn't be based on lineage, but rather the basic character of who these people are. The reincarnation of Asura is someone who inherits the will of fire, and the reincarnation of Indra is someone cursed with hatred. However that manifests in whatever time period can vary, but they're based on external factors that spiritually bring two people in conflict with each other. Having it based on lineage feels like it sort of cheapens Naruto as an underdog. He already kind of had that problem being the Nine Tails and the son of the fourth Hokage, but Minato wasn't necessarily from any special clans, and the Uzumaki clan should be the exact same. They're still cool and have interesting Kekkei Genkai, but tying Kushina to the Senju clan is just unnecessary. One interesting and kind of niche result of this change is when Konoha planned the Uchiha clan massacre, and how their justification was that because of figures like Madara, they all assumed the Uchiha clan were people cursed with hatred. But with this change, Konoha was just being kind of fucking racist. And even without this change, that still is the case. The main reason why the Uchiha clan wanted an uprising is because Konoha leadership was always closed off and revolved tightly around the Senju clan, and the Uchihas were never given a proper seat at the table. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. So in part 2, I focused a lot on reworking the fourth war arc by getting rid of the Edo Tensei. However, I feel it left the entire arc incredibly empty with very little to be interested in. I mean, just a bunch of white Zetsus now over the course of a year? It doesn't really excite. So over the years, I've slowly tried to develop new ideas for the fourth war that could really help spice up the entire ordeal. This is a bit of a complicated one that requires some setup, but here's what I've got. In the original leading up to the Pain arc, we learn the story of the Hidden Rain village, a village that was caught in the middle of past shinobi wars, being terrorized and ravaged multiple times over. This village's inclusion was a missed opportunity in my book. The idea I have is that it's not just the Akatsuki that wages war against the nations, it's the entirety of the Hidden Rain, who are led by the Akatsuki. Since the Akatsuki originated with Nagato, Yahiko, and Konan anyways, this makes a lot of sense. The Akatsuki's original purpose was always to fight against the tyranny of the nations who have caused nothing but endless conflict and death. And this goal should be rooted in and carried out by the Hidden Rain as a whole. The Hidden Rain should have been united and rallied around Yahiko, who sought to end internal conflict and lead them to victory. And once he is killed and Nagato takes over, Obito approaches them and uses the idea of the Akatsuki for his master plan. Once most of the Akatsuki is wiped out, including Pain, and Obito takes over, he manipulates the Hidden Rain's plight and despair into declaring the Fourth War. This makes things a bit more of a nuanced situation, because instead of just the Akatsuki being a group obsessed with power fighting for the secret Eye of the Moon plan at Madara's behest, they can still have real moral justifications for why they fight and support the idea of gaining control of the Ten Tails. They want to bite back at the villages that have wronged them, who have continuously caused war and destruction, and the Hidden Rain are just regular people who simply believe the Five Nations and their use of the Jinchuriki need to be stopped. Sure, the Akatsuki can still be a band of powerful rogue ninja from all over, plenty of which are just power obsessed, but the goal of the Akatsuki as a whole, as originally set by Nagato, is rooted in the pain that the Hidden Rain has endured. In addition to this, because of the Akatsuki's alliance with Orochimaru, not Kabuto, I made that change in part 1, the Hidden Rain should ally with the Hidden Sound Village. The Hidden Sound Village is just a huge pool of shinobi once experimented on or manipulated by Orochimaru, as well as some genuine followers that glue it all together. So Orochimaru offers their support to Obito and the Hidden Rain in order to get a seat at the table and eventually attempt to seize the power of the Ten Tails himself. And once the Ten Tails is summoned and Obito and Madara's plan comes to to fruition, the Hidden Rain and Sound Villages realize that they're being manipulated and turn to help defeat them. Because the war arc is so long, like I said, it should be at least a year, there's a great time frame to introduce new and interesting Rain and Sound Shinobi that are the new members of the Akatsuki, and they give the allied forces a run for their money. The White Zetsu can still appear later and cause a ruckus like they do originally, but they definitely aren't the star of the show now. And that's it. I'm out of ideas. If I would ever tackle Naruto again, I'd probably just take these changes and make a long-form rewrite series out of it. But for now, I want to focus on other projects. Speaking of which, if you like this type of content and you also happen to like Kingdom Hearts, check out my How to Fix Kingdom Hearts series on this channel. It's longer, I sing in one of them, it's just a good time. I will personally kiss you on the mouth if you watch that series. And also follow me on Twitter at Kryptonic02. Seriously, if you follow me on Twitter, I will give you $8. Okay, that's it. Bye.